Don't be bashful. I'm going to bring the mic. Would you mind coming up so we can get you on the video and blackmail you?
We're on tape here now, video too.
That's right. So behave. You know,
yeah, no. He's going to behave. Smile at the camera.
I'm just kidding. My question is in reference to the question that came out and somebody believing and then falling away from the faith. Are they saved? And I know that in the book of James it's talking about the demons believing, and even the demons believe and shudder. So is it a legitimate statement to say that that person probably wasn't in the faith in the first place if they did fall away?
Well, that's a fair question. It's a good one. And the bottom line is we don't know. And that's the key. We really don't know that person really did or did not believe. The Bible talks about false prophets. Remember that among us? And there's also 1 John 2:19, I believe it is, where it says they went out of us because they weren't with us. If they were of us, they would have remained with us. One of the keys is that false prophets and false teachers will come into the church. They will pretend to be Christians, say the right word, say the right thing, but then eventually leave because they're wolves in sheep's clothing. So your question is well taken. Is it possible these people never believed in the first place? They didn't have the faith. They may profess Christ. And I'm sure that's true in a lot of cases. The problem is we don't know who's whom. There are also people who profess Christ, fall away into sin, but then come back as the prodigal son there. And here's the great thing. I'm glad none of us have to judge that. Aren't you glad that you don't have to judge people's hearts? When I started this Bible study, or I was one of the leaders of it in 1970, we had a bunch of young kids that had just come to Christ. And I remember looking at the people walking through the door, and there were certain people who were just outstanding believers in Christ. I thought, God is going to use these guys, these gals in some mighty ways. And there were others that walk in the door, and I said, I'll give them about 3 weeks, and I'm never going to see them again. Well, guess what? It's the 3-week people that are still standing with the Lord, having some of the most wonderful ministries, and the guys and gals that could never fail, they failed, and we haven't seen them again. So I don't know. We can't tell. We don't know. God is going to be the judge there. But the question James is talking about is a whole interesting issue there in James chapter 2. And there's different ways of looking at that, right? The demons do have faith in the sense they know that the Lord exists, but they don't have any relationship with him either. You can acknowledge intellectually that Christ is God the Son. In fact, there are many people that do that. There's over and over. I'll give you an example. There was, when he did the Bible study there long ago, there was a young lady who was taking a class at one of the local universities, and she had to ask me a question after the Bible study one night. She was just dumbfounded. She said she had this class in classical Greek, and somehow they got around to talking about Jesus and the resurrection. And she was listening to the professor's explanation, and it sounded like someone who actually believed that Christ came back from the dead. So she said she hung around after class and said, Professor, you just talked about, Jesus coming back from the dead, and it sounded like you really believe that that's what literally occurred. And he said, yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think the evidence is so overwhelming that, of course, he did come back from the dead. And she says, well, pardon me for saying so, but I've been in your class all semester, and you never impressed me as a Christian, And he said, well, I'm not. And she said, no, wait a minute, you just told me that you believe that Christ came back from the dead. He said, yeah, but you're not a Christian. No. Do you realize the consequences you will suffer? She bluntly asked him that. Yes. And she said, why not? Why aren't you a Christian? And he said, I don't want my life changed. I'm very happy with the sinful life I'm living right now. All right. Well, okay. So he knew the facts. He knew it was true. All the demons believe they know it's true. A lot of people out there know it's true, but they don't do anything about it. I think James is talking about that type of person, a true faith in Christ. There will be something there, and I think that's what he's talking about. Okay?
There are so many good questions here, Don. I'm just wondering, can I give you a couple?
Sure, you can give me anything you want. Yeah.
Rapid fire.
I got a lot of water left, so you don't.
Yeah. Keep the water coming back there. Right? What do you think about a couple of rapid fire ones? I mean, just,
okay.
Okay,
yes, no, John 3:16. Okay, so that's good. All right.
Let's close in prayer. Thank you for coming, and we have a potluck.
Okay. Oh, you're going to ask me the questions?
Yeah,
I just want to give you the answers. Yeah. That way we skip the question, we get to the answers.
I know, Don, he knows the answer before we even ask the question. So.
Okay, what's the questions here? We haven't seen any of these. What are they?
What is your opinion of the partial rapture theory?
It's wrong.
Okay.
Okay.
Next.
We deal with that. Actually, what I do in the book, I go through all the 7 major theories and give the strengths and weaknesses. And the pre-trib, I say that's the one that has, I think got the answers to, and I deal with the objections. Partial rapture, pre-trib, mid-trib, post-trib, and pre-wrath and that, and then no rapture theory too. So.
Okay. Tarshish
Yeah.
in the Bible,
Yes.
Ezekiel 38.
Yes.
Where is that?
We don't know.
We don't know. Okay.
No, it could mean a far out place, an outer place, somewhere. It
Right.
could be an outer island or something like that. It could be a geographical place, or it could be a Hebrew word meaning somewhere out there.
The
Not
young
sure.
lions, some have suggested it could be the
We don't know.
young nations.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know.
Are UFOs demonic
Well,
beings?
are they? Well, now that's not something you can answer just yes or no.
Okay.
Because are there such thing as UFOs? Yes, there are unidentified flying objects. Now, are these unidentified flying objects demonic? Some possibly. Some are just misidentified, right? Okay, there's all sorts of theories. Natural phenomena might explain it away, or certain things the military are testing, and of course it's possible, that some are. Then again, here's the problem I have with the that sort of thing. And actually, I got it from one of my professors in college who wasn't a Christian when I went to a non-Christian school. He said, I don't have a problem necessarily with believing the idea that, we could have some type of alien visitors. My only question is, how come they always crash land in some manure field in Mississippi? Yeah. And they talk to some guy, that can barely get a complete sentence out, and they're the one who's been kidnapped, and he's the one who they've communicated with. It seems a little suspect there that, they can master, the physics and, and interstellar travel to such a place, but they have to crash land in some haystack or something, and something just doesn't seem right there. Anyway, I know I like that explanation. I thought that was as good as any I've ever heard, so. Okay, that wasn't rapid fire, I'm sorry.
No, it's good. All right.
Okay, what do you say?
And how they fit into the Bible.
Yeah, God created all the animals, 5th and 6th day. The birds and the fish on the 5th day, land animals on the 6th day. They're part of God's original creation, Job 38-41. Job seemed to have seen 2 different animals we would classify as a dinosaur, the behemoth and the leviathan. Those are actually transliterations, again, of the Hebrew. Behemoth means behemoth, leviathan, leviathan. Behemoth sounds like what we would used to term brontosaurus, which never existed, by the way. Apatosaurus was probably a closer description to that. But, thank you. Oh, there you guys are on the front. I wonder. It seemingly lived at the same time as humanity, which, of course, would kill the theory of evolution, which the dinosaurs, died out 65 million years ago. And so if we're going rapid fire, I had a joke, but I won't tell it. Go ahead, we just move on. We're rapid fire here.
I want to ask the question, when the Bible in Revelation says that the sea gave up its dead, do you have any speculation what that means, like they're talking about?
Yeah, the sea usually refers to like the nations in the world that gave up their dead. In other words, what it's talking about, everything gives up the dead. When there's a final judgment, in other words, all those who have died, wherever they died from the nations, comes out of the sea, come out of the land. We're told the first beast and the second beast. The first beast comes out of the sea, which usually refers to the nations. The second beast comes from the earth, which may refer to Israel, the land of Israel. The sea gave up the dead means the nations give up their dead. Everybody gives up the dead. In other words, the final judgment, everyone's there. Not necessarily the ones that have died at sea or anything like that. Everyone is there at the judgment. In other words, it's comprehensive is what it's trying to say, probably, most likely. In other words, all that have died are going to be in front of the great white throne there that died outside of Christ. It's an excellent question, though.
Good. Okay, let's, Renee, you want me to come to you? Okay,
The lady in the back in the
camera.
red there, on camera.
Okay.
Okay, I'll see if I can get this question out. I've been hearing a lot of Ezekiel 9 recently, and so my question is, do you think that the Christians, believers celebrating Christmas, having Christmas trees, celebrating Easter, is something detestable unto the Lord?
Okay. Is celebrating Christmas or Easter detestable unto the Lord? Not at all. Christmas, we celebrate the birth of Christ. And by the way, the passages there in Jeremiah and that have nothing to do with the modern Christmas tree or anything like that. Easter is an unfortunate word. It's actually the Passover, which when the time that the King James says Easter there when they're in Jerusalem for Easter. No, it was Passover. Easter is term that's been brought into the Bible. It's not biblical there. No, I think with Christmas and Easter, you need to celebrate in the right attitude. You know, Easter celebrates the time Jesus came back from the dead, and by all means, we want to celebrate that, whatever you want to call it, Resurrection Day or whatever, and call it whatever you want. Easter